Major Garrett is here with us now from Washington. Major, thanks for being here.
Sure.
Despite the harsh criticism of Donald Trump's comments, some top Republicans say that they will still back him if he is the eventual nominee. So how can they reconcile doing so if they strongly disagree with his position?
Well, what most Republicans running for the nomination have said in the aftermath of Trump's comments is he's not going to be the nominee, a kind of a declaration wrapped in hope, if you will. But they don't say what the White House, for its own political reasons, has said is now the new standard for any Republican in this race not named back him if he becomes the nominee. And Republicans have not said that. They have not crossed that line. And it's a significant test for everyone in this campaign, because if you believe, as many of these Republican rivals of Donald Trump have said, that what he's proposing is a violation of the Constitution, is a violation of the values of the United States of America, and a violation of what the Republican Party stands for, how can you therefore say it's even theoretically possible you will support Donald Trump if he becomes the nominee? Has this rhetoric crossed a line and made that pledge that all those Republicans signed to support whoever the eventual nominee was become non-enforceable? That's what Republican candidates have to ask themselves and then tell their supporters. And we'll find out in the next couple of days if any are willing to do that. I think Lindsey Graham has probably come closest to that. There's going to be a debate in Las Vegas next Tuesday, and it seems to me that is going to be a pivotal moment for this question, because you can't reconcile the 2 points of view. You can't say Trump is antithetical to the Constitution, American values, and my party, but oh, by the way, if he's the nominee, I'll still be with him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Let me ask you this, Major. Donald Trump, of course, is being criticized on all sides. What is the political cost here if Donald Trump continues to surge? And I'm not just talking about the near term, but, in the long term, what is the political cost potentially for the Republican brand?
Well, I was talking to Republicans yesterday looking at this. They were with not just a minor sense of alarm, but a great deal of alarm. Because this is not a question any longer, it seems to me, and many Republicans I've talked to, about politics or rhetoric or your strategy. This is about the Constitution itself. And I've really never covered a presidential campaign where the question has been put, can you remain popular, or is it a strategic insight of yours that you can remain popular and violate the Constitution at the same time? This is very new terrain. And so for Republicans yesterday that I was talking to, the question was this. You have often said it's the nightmare scenario if Donald Trump runs as a third-party candidate, because that would carve up the change vote and in all likelihood make the Democratic nominee, whomever that is, the likely winner in November of 2016. That was the generic nightmare scenario. But Republicans now believe another nightmare scenario exists, Donald Trump staying in the party and creating this toxic environment around the entire brand of the party of Lincoln, the party of Ronald Reagan, the party of Dwight David Eisenhower, and other Republicans, well-known and well-respected, who did not go down this road and would never have gone down this road. That's what is at stake here, it seems to me, and many Republicans I've talked to. Not just who wins and who loses, but the very future of the Republican Party as it has been historically known.
Major, yesterday Donald Trump tweeted out one result from a poll that showed that he had 68% of his supporters that would still vote for him if he ran as an independent. Given that he signed that agreement not to do that, to support the GOP candidate, why would he tweet that if not to send a signal? And what could happen if he goes down that road? Is that some people might call an automatic Clinton win in the general?
Well, that is certainly the fear, but let's step back from this just a second. And look, I promise usually when I cover politics not to engage in math because it makes my head hurt. It's going to make your head hurt. But let's just do this for a second. Let's take Donald Trump's numbers, and let's say they're at 30% nationally. Let's say that's the high end of what he could get. 68% of 30% is slightly more than 25%. I mean, see, this is already making it complicated for me. It's not anywhere near as large as it sounds, and it, in the end, approximates what Ross Perot got in a presidential campaign when he ran as an independent in 1992. Did that cost George H.W. Bush re-election? It possibly did. The literature on that in the political science community is somewhat divided. Maybe Clinton would have got some of that vote. Maybe George H.W. Bush would have gotten it. Who knows? The point is, it didn't destroy the republic. It didn't topple anything. It just made a winner out of Bill Clinton and a loser out of George H.W. Bush. What Trump wants to make it sound as if he's so much more popular and so much more forceful in this debate than the math behind it actually suggests. If you're Ross Perot, okay, you ran in 1992, you didn't win, you didn't get a single electoral vote, you made a big splash, but in the end you went away. The country moved on, and what happened after that? 2 years later, what did Republicans in Congress do? Brought in most of the Ross Perot message, used it against Bill Clinton, and achieved a congressional majority for the first time in 40 years. The conversation continues, parties adapt. Parties can adapt to someone who brings a different kind of message. Back to my original point, can a party adapt by bringing an unconstitutional message into its embrace? I don't think so.
All right, Major Garrett in Washington for us. Major, thank you for that analysis.